Yes, it's Friday. It is 12:01 p.m. Eastern. -4 GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. At the sound of the tone, the time will be 12:02. Beep, 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 beep. Anyone ever remember that? I remember I was probably 13, 14 years old when someone mentioned to me that the federal government had a phone number you could call to find out what time it was. And I was like, no, that can't really be a thing, really? Sure enough, I don't know if it's still around. I wonder if it's still around. Where it's a recording of the official clock, and someone goes, I had to do that. So the reason I remember that is because I worked in radio, in my many moons ago, prior to this. And I worked for a little station in Red Wing, Minnesota. And as part of that, the state of Minnesota was doing some kind of time thing as well. And so they contracted us to do the voice work for it. So I had to go into a studio as the FM classic rock station, and I went in front of the microphone, hit record, and said, "The time is now 12 o'clock. 12:01. 12:02. 12:03. And I had to do that for a 24-hour time cycle. And then at the end, I went, the time is... The time is... Now, granted, this was, I'm going to say 1997. So I bet, it's, 19 years ago now? So I'm going to have to assume that my voice is not still on there. That somebody, at some point, replaced it. But if not, I'll have to check into that sometime, see if that's still a thing. That was pretty amusing. I was thinking about that today, because one of the things we're doing in this room, we did it right before the show, and we're going to do again after the show, is, we did a bunch of Lotro voice recording sessions in here just over the past hour, and then throughout the afternoon we're bringing in voice actors to do upcoming content for Lord of the Rings Online. And we did that for DDO too, although this was the first time I could sit behind the board and kind of help run the board. I'm not really involved in the direction process or anything like that. I'm just kind of a board op, right? But, hearing the studio voice actors go into the recording session and doing things like, Aragorn, come here. We must find Aragorn, that kind of thing. Just like the line. It's super cool. It's super fascinating. I love watching that kind of thing. It is so cool. So, pretty rad. So, all right, what are we doing today? Hello. Welcome to Friday afternoon here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/DungeonsandDragons/live.
There we go.
Although I'm troubleshooting a thing on YouTube right now. For some reason it doesn't want to play well with XSplit. Only on DDO, so I'm not sure what's up with that. I think it's a bitrate thing. I'll have to go into the settings and figure it out. Nonetheless, we're on Twitch today, we're on Galanda, and we are going to run Part 2 of Against the Slave Lords. Heroic. Alright, why don't we do this, huh? We can pop on in. Have you guys been running this on live? What are your thoughts? What have you run into? What's been your encounter? I can tell you...
Some of us are.
Yep.
I can't go into. Dang it.
Oh, there is observatory clocks. Okay, yeah. You're right now that you remind me. It was the United States Naval Observatory. That's the federal government thing I was talking about. 2 speaking clocks at Washington, D.C. It's 1202-762-1401 or 1202-762-1069. And then there are, like I say, some local ones and things like that. I think the Minnesota thing was some kind of Department of Agriculture program, although I couldn't tell you what exactly it was for. Like I said, all I know is they were just like, hey, guess what you get to do tonight? And I was like, yeah? Okay. Alright, I am here to answer your questions in chat. So if you want to chat me up on Twitch, I'd be happy to answer it if I can. Oh no, that's too bad. There's no way to Redbox, I suppose. Yeah, not the first time through.
Forwarded twice. Cordovan.
Well, why don't we could do part 1 here then. That's fine. We'll just do
Your
part
No,
one.
search for the
I
slave
don't
lords
bore your
has led
Twitch
to a
crowd. I'll
large
catch you another
fortress
time.
complex deep
Okay.
in the wilderness.
Alright, that's cool, on.
You scale the walls and
Nick
slip
Hair
through
Dye
a
for
window,
bears.
hoping to take
Thanks,
the
bye.
guards by surprise.
Alright,
Once
let
inside,
me...
you notice
Question,
a slave
Growler says, in the
clatter
early
and
discussion
clang
for
of
Can
armor
of
can be
Crafting
heard from
update,
down
No
the
Worries
hallway.
mentioned underwater action, disruption, good luck, smiting would be added back to random gen. Is this still planned? I think the answer is yes. I guess I'll know for sure when I see it, but my understanding is that is already added to random gen. You're right, I didn't see a release note on it, but that... I don't know, I'll have to check. I don't know. I'm sorry, man. I don't exactly know the answer to your question. Ah, great. Good. Glad we were able to get you in. So I'm tempted to say yes, and it already is in Update 32, but if not, you know, I know that was the intention
The
to
clamor
sort
of
of... Because he
creatures
did go
preparing
through,
for
okay, what should be in
battle can be
Canopy, what
heard
should be
from
in
the
Random,
next
what should be
room.
in Named. And that, my understanding is that's basically a done deal at this point. Maybe I'm wrong. Sure, No Worries is actually on vacation today because he put in some long hours getting ready for Cane of Crafting. So I can't ask him today, but come Monday, if I remember this question, then I will make sure to ask him whether that's a done deal or not. But my possibly incorrect thinking is the answer is yes, that is already a done deal.
The outer courtyard is used as a mustering point, where the slavers meet before going out on raids.
Great, welcome. Oh, so this came up on the forums. I saw it yesterday, and I think it may be the answer to the question, but I wasn't entirely sure. So someone said they were having an issue with ranged and having the auto-targeting
Hobgoblins
not
can be heard rushing to take
target from a
positions on
distance.
the
And my
platforms
guess
above.
is this one. Some of the mobs in Against the Slave Lords are non-targetable until they are activated, basically, which is similar to like what happens in some of the events, that kind of thing. And the reason for that is to prevent long-range weapons, or maybe it's a mistake. I don't actually know. But in either regard, that's I think what the person on the forums was getting hung up on is they were expecting the auto-targeting to target mobs that hadn't been activated yet. And so I would be curious to see what happens if they activated the mobs and still had the issue. But it's something I noticed that is a little different from what we do consistently in the game. So I'll have to see if this is intended for some particular aggro or other reason. It may be a lag thing as well, so that we don't, mobs don't aggro other mobs, which aggro other mobs, which aggro other mobs, etc. And next thing you know, you have issues. So that may be what's going on. Someone says I should brighten my screen, it's too dark. My screen is already bright. I'm looking at it on Twitch. I actually brightened it on Wednesday, so I don't want to go any brighter. Sorry. Is there any possibility that potions could be made craftable? Yeah, I mean, we could, right?
This part of the
I'm not
complex
quite
doesn't
sure what
seem
the
to have been
process. I mean,
used
it'd
for
be
quite
a
some
new
time.
system we'd be implementing. But there's nothing to say we couldn't do that in the future if there was enough interest. You think there would be, though? I don't know. And potions are pretty cheap and plentiful.
Lady
But
Morwen asks you to find and help
Case
slaves
continues, right?
who have escaped during the chaos.
Nope, not that one. Don't know how to unlock one of the two chests. You're right. I ran into that last night myself. Well, a couple times this week. But the person who is doing that was not around to get the answer for. So I need to check to see whether there perhaps is some that chest is spawning erroneously, or whether there's some condition to unlock the chest that isn't being met, or whether perhaps it's busted or broken or something. So I'm gonna have to look into that. And I don't have an answer for you now, but it is on my list of things to do, because yeah, one of the chests is mysteriously locked. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do?
The parade grounds stand
Oh,
as
no, I
the
think
last
it's
staging
Camp
grounds before troops enter the stockade farm.
Can we consider double collectibles bonus days? Potentially. Again, it would involve some engineering work to be able to add that bonus to the game, because it doesn't currently exist. But there's nothing saying we couldn't do that work in the future, perhaps. Someone is saying there are bugs if people zerg past mobs. That may be a bit of a confusion that is no longer the issue. When we first debuted Update 32 on Tuesday, there was an issue in this dungeon where if you range pulled some mobs far enough away that you couldn't... Sorry. Forgot to sell.
The inner keep
Oh,
houses the
if you
remainder
ranged
of
it before
troops
the
and
objective
serves to
would show
protect
up.
the
Say if
entrance
you
to
kill the
dungeon
mobs
below.
and then you walk toward the door and then it's like, kill those mobs. It screws up the progression. And there was also an issue on Tuesday where the end fight in this, if you did the end fight and before you completed the quest you went back into the dungeon, maybe to do any remaining optionals or something like that, then that too would break progression. Both of those issues have been fixed as of yesterday's hotfix. So, provided that's what your friend is talking about, both of those should be non-issues at this point. Has anyone pulled any named loot yet? Yes. I did. On Thelanis. And now I can't remember what I pulled. But yes. There was one other thing that came up in a local group that I was running that I think might be worth bringing to the live stream as well. And that is, I've had a couple of people ping me saying, are they really supposed to drop that frequently? They being the multi-slot items like the 5 rings and the other multi-slot items that are craftable in this. And the answer to that is yes. They do drop extremely frequently. And that's actually working as intended. The goal of the system was not to make it onerous for people to acquire the base items, but rather to have the work done be...
The door opens. Suddenly, the looming form of a bear lurches towards you.
Oh no! Oh, really? That's kind to get the ingredients to upgrade the items. So the items are exceptionally plentiful. We're gonna have to hit that lever, unfortunately. Anyone know? Got a good enough reflex to handle that? I was on Epic, so I know that it is at least dropping in Epic, because I ran on Legendary, not Epic, Legendary Normal on last night and pulled a named item of some kind. I don't think this trap can be disabled. At least I wasn't able to disable it
You pull the lever.
last night
There's a soft pop.
on my
An
trap.
enchanted crystal.
Now, it could just be I didn't know where the trap
Closer
box was.
inspection. This bear is stuffed and mounted on a track.
Let me pause for a second to look at the
Used to
stuff there.
frighten and confuse
So,
intruders.
this came up on the forums as someone saying, what the heck, man, that's dumb. That's so immersion breaking. How's going to be driving like a mechanical bear, blah, blah, blah. Which is fine. Perfectly valid feedback. But I would note, room 17A of the classic module describes a trap, which is a bear that surprises people, and then a pit opens up behind them to fall into a trap full of spikes. The sound of a roar can be coming from the bear, although in the module, the roar is the sound of the bear running down the tracks that is mistaken for a roar. Whereas, because it was sort of something that perhaps describes easier than is done, when we actually tried to do like a grind scrape roar thing, like described in the module, it just didn't really work. So that's why we went for the humorous and awesome roar, roar. So that's the story behind the bear. It's in the original module, as described, and we basically have it 100% right, except for the origin of the roar sound itself, which in the module comes from a mechanical, you know, the sound of the thing rolling down the tracks, whereas in our module it's more explicit. Spicy asks, will we be adding new weapon types in the game? Something like a whip or chainsword would be a great addition. I don't want to commit to anything, but yes, we have had conversations about it. And
This mirror is used to make trespassers believe there are more defenders than there really are.
it's likely that there will be something in the future. When? No clue. But it's something we would definitely like to do.
The
so.
lever is pulled, and a crystal lights up nearby.
These are good. Yeah, pulled the Ring of Power, the Orb Helm, and Plate Mail so far. Oh, and the staff. Nice. Yeah, good point, Growler. I will do that. We posted a poll yesterday on the forums and then got the word about it on social media. We didn't put it in the launcher only because we kind of have a busy launcher right now and wanted to... But the idea of the poll is we are in a non-committed to doing a thing fashion asking you guys whether for the 11th anniversary you would,
be heard in the distance.
of these two choices,
comes
would you
frenzied
prefer a
shouts that grow
kobold
closer
themed
with every
anniversary
second.
with a playable kobold race, or a dragon themed anniversary with a playable dragonborn race? I should also note, because Sev made sure to make it clear, that the idea of the kobold-themed anniversary would not necessarily be new dungeons with kobolds in them. I think the intention would be more that we would be helping
Slave
some
cages line the
kobolds,
walls
whether that
of
be a
this
certain
large
faction of
complex.
kobolds or whatever
Control
more reason
which
we
can be
end
seen
up
on the
with
far
to
end of the
have
room.
you assist the kobolds.
moment you enter,
So you wouldn't be fighting
slaves
kobolds
plead
so
to
much
be
as you'd be
released from
working
captivity.
alongside them, say a la Crystal Cove, that kind of thing. I think that's the intention. So, if that matters to you, sways your opinion one way or the other. Either way, let us know. We have a poll on the forums. You can find a link to it on Twitter, Facebook, Google+. Maybe someone will post in the chat here. Oh no.
A key marked Control Cell Door
And give us your
drops from the
I'm
jailer's
curious.
pocket.
We're not committing. We are not committing to any certain thing. I don't know whether this is actually going to happen or whether we go a completely different direction come time for actually doing this thing. but no, I'm a little too far away to hit that shrine. Perhaps someone could grab my stone and take me back a little bit. I'm a little bit too far away to hit the shrine. Yeah, maybe you could just kind of drag me back. There we go. Anyway, I don't want to sway the vote. I'm just curious what you guys are saying. So, how did that poll actually come about? So, we were having a meeting about, future planning and things like that. And for a while now, well, for years, frankly, we've had a consistent
Inside the
request
cage are several
from
levers.
the community
It seems
to
likely that
allow
they
them,
control the doors
play
to
a
the
kobold.
slave
I want to play a
cells.
kobold. So we were like, yeah, maybe we should do that for the anniversary. And we
The
dropped a
door
hint
barring your
somewhere. I can't
exit
remember
swings
exactly
open
where we
as the
dropped the
lever
hint
is
now,
the third
off the top
lever
of
is
my head.
pulled, and the
But
remaining slaves flee the fort.
long and short of it is we dropped that hint into the community and then started hearing from a different group of folks who were like, can you just stop with the kobolds already? So we were like, well, do people really feel that way? How much do people feel that way? Et cetera, right? So part of this is like, well, okay, I mean, maybe if people are sick of kobolds, maybe we should do something else. Well, we could always do Dragonborn. And so it kind of just sort of got into a casual meeting process. And as part of that process, it, thought was like, well, why don't we just ask folks? Let's let them know that we're not necessarily going to do the thing, but let's just kind of do a quick poll and get a temperature of the community on it. And so that's what we did. So that's the purpose behind the poll. We're not committing to doing a thing. I cannot say if let's say Dragonborn gets 90% of the vote that we do either of those things. It may well be that, we finally go with that playable ooze update that I want, or whatever it is. We're not doing a playable ooze update, but you know what I mean. We might do something completely different. But given those two choices, we were curious what the community thought. So let us know, and pretty good chance we'll listen. Unless something comes up that causes us to do something different. How long does it actually take to collect enough ingredients to craft one item in Slavers? That depends on the difficulty you run. So, I ran the chain starting on Tuesday on Thelanis on Legendary Normal. One run through of all 3 parts, hitting every collectible chest available. And this is on normal, so the numbers are skewed way low. And at the end of the 3-chain run, including the 20 ingredients you can select as an... Oh no, the 5 ingredients you could select as an end reward. You could do 20 or 5. I'll talk about that in a second. I had 38 pieces. Now again, that's one quick run through on Legendary Normal. So, the number is, 12 to 16 times higher than that on, say, Legendary Elite, Heroic Elite, that kind of thing. So you'll get a lot more, just like any other thing, normal is pretty low drop rate. Higher is higher, or hard is higher, Elite's highest. Once you complete the chain and speak to the quest NPC, in that end reward list, you have an option of a stack of 20 commons or 5 uncommons. And so for me, like I said, I just chose 5, so that means I got 33 pieces through one run on Legendary Normal, and then got the 5 uncommons.
Gem is mounted on the back wall.
So assuming that is a typical experience, and I don't know that for sure, but assuming that's a typical experience, then yeah, you would, let's say, average of 40 on a Legendary Normal run, you need 400, that would be about 10 runs.
You pray the group
on
will
Legendary
be able to
Normal.
escape the fortress safely.
But if you're really truly farming this stuff, don't run it on Legendary Normal. What are you doing? Unless you have to. But come on, how many people in this game really run things on normal? So the answer is a lot. But those are an example of the numbers. So you can expect on Legendary normal to get, what, somewhere between, let's say in the 40 to 55 range if you chose the 20 commons. And then I would imagine hard to be somewhere at least twice that, and then elite would be twice hard, so approximately 4 times.
This crudely decorated room houses a large and powerful ogre. The lever is mounted to the right side of the door.
Now my math,
There's a
you know,
loud
like I
click,
said, this is
and two
estimated
doors
math here,
swing
so
open.
someone on the forums
The
will be like,
sound
you're
of
wrong,
chatter
it is
can be heard
actually
from deeper within the
38.2, you know what I
fortress.
mean? But that was my one quick run-through experience. Once on Legendary Normal and I got 38. Although I could have chose 53 if I was going for the commons. But I picked the commons, so I'll be drowning in those things. It's the uncommons I need more of. So. Dirty Dexter says, I would probably prefer playing a souped-up kobold than a toned-down dragonborn. DDO Central says, you don't have to talk to Lady Mormon first before doing the escaped slave optional. Will this be fixed? Probably. It doesn't sound right. It'd be fun to play as a kobold. Yeah, I think so. They deserved what they got in the waterworks. Yeah, I know, right? They kept on trying to kill you. Spicy says, I heard rumors a few years back
This
now
large
that
dining
you guys
hall
will be
serves as a
adding
gathering
sentient
place for the
weapons.
fort's troops.
If this is true, will you be following the weapons of Legacy
Stands
book?
ready to make a final
No.
stand.
If we do sentient weapons, the philosophy of what they are, you know, weapons with personality that can communicate, is the goal, but the exact implementation would probably not be a strict implementation from that splat book. Confucius says, Dragonborn, isn't that an Elder Scrolls thing? They're not a core playable race in 3.5, but they are an after edition race in 3.5. They're also a formal
As Ikar
race in 4th, of
falls,
course. In
The door opens to reveal a passageway leading
I haven't really
deeper
played
into the
Dragonborn,
fortress.
so I don't know. But either way, they are a core race in some editions and an optional race in other editions, but they do very much have a D&D basis to them. So... Confucius says maybe they could have a kobold shaman tree. Yeah, I would imagine. Could be something along that kind of line. If not as a core race, then if we did like an iconic kobold, certainly an iconic kobold shaman is about as iconic as it gets in DDO. So I would imagine that might be
A glance at the
a
room
great sort of
reveals a
optional tree,
passageway
perhaps.
leading down to the dungeon below. No doubt
Or
Marquesa and the
commentary.
rest of her conspirators can be found below.
Slithy Jub says, have I got it wrong, but will the 10th anniversary event be making a brief appearance before the year is out? That was the original thought, is that we sort of bounced it off the live stream saying, yeah, we could maybe do that. But I think the end result was... that we're going to perhaps bring it back for the anniversary briefly. Just because it makes sense to do that there, rather than the end of the year. But we'll see. There's still time to kind of figure
This
that out yet.
hallway serves as the entrance to the fortress's dungeon. Marquesa must be somewhere inside.
One of the nice things I like about one of the few nice things about this Pew 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 build is that your rune arm has longer range than your Eldritch Blast. So I can ping mobs with the Rune Arm that I couldn't do with my Eldritch Blast as a Warlock. That's been kind of useful. I don't think so basically, I think it's an unsettled issue still at this point. I'd say it's possible that it comes back, and it's possible it won't. By the end of the year. I do think it'll be making a brief appearance. Because why not? People want it. We like it. You like it. As long as we like it and you like it, why not? So. Confucius says, someone said there's a phone app with these kobold phrases. Yeah, there is. I can't remember if it's iPhone or Android or both. But yeah, there's a kobold soundboard app that was made years ago. But is still as amusing today as it was back then.
Upwards towards the ceiling.
I'm not sure if you can just sort of search for it or how that works,
might
but
spare you from the effect. It seems to be your metal armor that's being pulled towards the ceiling. Perhaps if you removed it.
Do I miss the Rune Arm charging sound in my pew-pew? I'm one of those folks who gets... I don't say anything bad about the game. I hate it. It drove me freaking nuts. That.
The force pulling you towards the ceiling.
So the answer is no, I don't miss it. I celebrate its removal. I would love a Dwarven Defender iconic, not because I prefer to play tanks, but because it would likely upset the elitists who love their cookie cutter builds. That's funny. Yeah, I think a Dwarf of Moradin has often come up as like a kind of a Warhammer-based dwarf sort of thing. Iconic has often come up in the community, so cool. I'm down with it. DDO Central says the magnetic trap doesn't actually exist, but the voiceover for it is still there. Yes, it exists. Totally still exists. If you've got metal armor on, you will be affected by it. Oh, someone's saying maybe certain difficulties it's not active? It's possible. I don't know. Not to have QA dig into it. It's been doing it for every group I've been in, but I haven't run every difficulty setting. There is a lady who makes the kobold voices. Yes, that lady is named Cindy Robinson. She is a professional voice actress and is incredibly talented, and is also the voice of Lolth, some of the Drow High Priestess, etc., etc. So she actually is used regularly by us because we really, really love her work. She is super talented. I mean, just hear like her cry of pain towards the end of Menace of the Underdark, and it's like, wow. But yes, she is our, to the extent it exists, official voice of the Kobolds in DDO. Yeah, I got what you meant, Wisdomman. Yeah. Yep. So it's kind of exciting. We're doing a bunch more voice acting recording for, again, Lord of the Rings Online throughout the afternoon here for their upcoming, I think, update 19. And so that's happening today. And it's really cool to sit in on the process. But the reason I bring it up to you guys is because towards the end of the day, we're going to have a voice actor session with one Scott McNeil, who does a bunch of voice work for DDO as well. And if you, he does like Amscar and a bunch of the Shadowfell stuff and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, we've used him frequently. The Kobold app in the Apple Store is called Kobold Soundboard for DDO. Spicy has a question. One thing I would like to bring up. Do you plan on looking into the Barbarian Intimidate randomly stop working? It's rather annoying as my barb is a backup event. Or tech.
Various grim-looking devices are scattered throughout this torture chamber.
I was not personally aware that we have a barbarian-specific intimidate
This
issue.
hallway connects with a natural cavern
I will have
that
to
leads
pass
deeper
that
into
along
the
to
subterranean
QAC
complex.
what they know about it. If they know about it, and if not, we'll have to look into that. Do you know by any chance, like more specifically what is going on? Is there a specific thing, like an enhancement, whatever? Or is it just barbarians can't intimidate? Oh, let's sign this up. Oh no, I missed a remnant. It's okay. Thank you for making the flesh golem change for the cavelings, Studio Central says. They were originally taken on the monument. Yeah, that's right. The reason they were taken is because, lore-wise,
The door opens to reveal a
the
large
cavelings
chasm.
are
The glint of two
crafted by a
different
person
gems can be seen down on the cavern
from
floor.
various other monster parts. And so, taken, being as that's their thing, it made a lot of sense to do that. Because but you raise a very valid point, which is that it was a little weird to see taken in the module. So that's why we changed it. Based on your feedback from the module. So lore-wise, Taken make more sense than Flesh Golems, but Flesh Golems just sort of ultimately made for, I think, a less jarring experience, being as we weren't able to formally bring the new monster cavelings into the game. Looks like we have one gem left to hit. Is there another lever down there somewhere?
Yep, that's it.
With the door unsealed, you may continue into the caverns below.
Yeah, I think that, as the player said, that's specifically why it was a little jarring, is because the Taken are so identified with sort of the missing pack in Eberron that it didn't necessarily make sense to the average GDO player to do that. Even if technically lore-wise they were probably a better fit. And that's what Lamania is all about, right? So.
A rumbling sound can be heard from the corridor above.
Slithy Jub says, do I do, or am I going to do, a regular Lotra stream? Yes. Because I'm now
This
the
room is
community manager
clearly
for
used
Lord of
to
the Rings
store and
Online,
cure
I
cheeses.
frankly used to
Massive
play a whole bunch
corridors
more of the game,
growl at the skittering
and
sound of
also
rats.
live stream. And I want to live stream it too. I've actually been thinking, as soon as, now that Update 32's out the door and some other stuff's getting worked on them, like I wanted to get the producers' letters out for both DDO and Lotro first, which is happening soon. And some other work that like you guys wanted me to do, rather than probably sit at a keyboard and play it. But I will be doing that soon. Now, I've tentatively, in my head, I'm calling the stream Cordovan
Soft
is helping.
buzzing sound can be heard as you
Because
approach the
it
door.
cracks me up. And also, I think it's hilarious. And also, anyone who
Bees
knows
swarm near their
how great I am
hives.
at DDO
Surely
will
this room
probably
is for
find that
making
title
honey.
amusing too.
You should be safe, unless...
Woot woot. Oh man, I had one of my hirelings just get stuck forever on here. It was pretty hilarious. Double duty? Question mark? Yeah, yeah. We're at that point. July here. But I'm now working for Video Games, which is really exciting for me. It's actually been very cool. It's not, you know, anyone who's concerned is like, oh my god, are we going to abandon DDO? Well, clearly not. But anyway, so yeah, stay tuned if you are interested in that. Pretty soon, I need to pick a day and a time. That's really the thing, is to find a day and a time that works with my work schedule, and also isn't stepping on some other streamers, because they have a pretty busy schedule. But I'll get that figured out and do that within the next couple of weeks. So you can stay tuned for Cordovan's Helping if you care about that. And again, that's
The
twitch.tv/LoTro.
have built 3 defensive positions inside this massive cavern.
Does freedom of
To
movement
destroy
stop the
these
B thing? I haven't
strongholds before
tried.
you can continue
Do you know the
further.
answer to that? Anyone in the
Past the
chat room know the
outpost's
answer?
defenders
I would
falls.
say it probably should, right? Because it's a non-magical form of... No, it's a non-magical thing. It's beehive. Let me give you a little bit of a tip too. So, you know, like I said, my hireling got honeyed up last night, and then I deliberately did not put said hireling into the water to clean
The kennels
that
falls.
person. But
The hobgoblins
did
outside
you know
the
that if
barracks
you're
have been
covered with
defeated.
honey and you attack
The natural
in melee
cavern
combat
once again gives way to
another
a masonry hallway.
enemy, they could become honeyfied as well? So I kept my hireling honeyed for that entire 10 minutes, and then I used it to paralyze mobs along the way. No, it does not, huh? I'll have to look at that. Stepsty99 says, I am a new player. Congratulations and welcome to DDO, by the way. And I am an Elven Sorcerer. Why does the keen sense say to go a certain way, but when I go there and search, nothing happens? Perhaps your search score is not high enough? Could that be a possibility? It is just that I am stuck on a quest to disable a magical shield, and Keen Sense says to go a certain way, but I cannot find it.
You spot a
My guess
female
is if
elf
it's a
matching
quest-specific
Marques's
magical
description
shield,
leading
like a
through
magical
portal.
barrier, there's
Creatures
probably
spring
some
forward to
kind
protect her
of
escape.
thing you need to do to drop the barrier. If you let me know what quest in particular, maybe I can suss out what specific magical gauge you're looking at and what you might be doing. And you can find out what quest it is by hitting X on your keyboard. It'll call up the quest panel and just get me the name of the thing. And if I can't answer it, I bet someone in chat can.
The portal barring your path fades when you pull this lever.
Griller asks a question I really can't answer, but let me answer the non-answer, which is, as a community manager now for both DDO and LoTro, which do I like more?
A gaunt creature stands at the end of the hallway,
That's a
looking
very
at you
nice question
nervously.
to ask. I can't really sort of pick which kid's the favorite, right? But I like both the games, but I've been playing DDO for 10 years now, so read into that whatever you will.
Blackthorn
What do you think? You guys want to fight or let him flee? I fought him last night. The guy has a lot of hit points. I also noticed you can re-engage him as he's leaving. if you go up to him as he's walking away, you still can get the dialogue box and say, basically,
Blackthorn walks away
you up.
quietly.
You know, I would say as well, though, that because it's true that I've not played nearly as much Lord of the Rings Online as DDO, and part of that is just that I started as a player of DDO, but part of that too is that as a
The sound of
life
scuffling
just doesn't
guards and
permit me to
agitated
fully
prisoners
dedicate full
comes
time to
from
two
the room to your
MMOs.
right.
I just can't do it. It's not the free time, you know? So that's really why, when it comes to Lord of the Rings Online, I've only put in maybe 50, 60 hours into the game at this point. But I will be playing it a lot more in the coming months. And I do enjoy the game. Nice, Mary. I like it. Adventure Redemption. Find Lars Ethan. Okay, I bet I know exactly what you're running into. For a magical
You open
gate,
the last door.
there's
Slaves emerge
a
from their
couple of
cells
sort of
and
gates that
escape.
are just blockers, and then there's a gate on the ground that is unhooked through a lever that's kind of around the corner. You'll go through a tunnel. There'll be a restaurant and a lever there. And then that'll unlock the bars, so you'll go back through the tunnel, and there's a bunch of valves you need to hit to shut off the flame on things, and then that will unlock the gate to get to Lars Hate. Otherwise, depending on the border, there's also, like I say, there's like one in the ceiling that's a non-thing, and it just doesn't do anything. So depending on which one specifically you're looking at, that's the answer. Was a caveling optional section ever planned but didn't get made? Yes, I think so. I'll double check to make sure, but I know that in the second part, on the first pass of the construction of the dungeon, it was deemed perhaps a little on the too long side. And so that was scaled back perhaps as something we could do in the future. You hit the valves already. Okay, so well, if you hit the valves already, then you should be able to just kind of go, kind of back around that area you came from, and before you get to the passage in the tunnel here, there should be a purple gate kind of off to your west that you'll walk through. This is already a pretty long quest, and at the time it wasn't optional, but mandatory. And it was just like, no. And so just due to time and other reasons, like, okay, we'll do that later or something.
Before you stands Juliet, Marques's assistant. Juliet curses you as she falls to the ground.
It's not like it was done and then cut. It was, the hallways were built and then it was cut. So, oh! There we go. Okay, that answers a question that's been on the forums, which is, are Cannith essences dropping in chests? The answer is yes, because I just got one. In case it were any question. Yeah, so if I gave the impression that it was done and then cut, then I apologize. It was something we were going to do,
Marquesa
and then
awaits
we
your
had to
arrival
scale back due
inside
to
this
various factors,
well-appointed
up to
room.
and including quest length and time to get this out.
Marquesa's double is dead. No longer in thrall to the madwoman who remade her in her own image. Now, to find the real Marquesa.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was just a question that came up on the forums. There's a couple of folks who were like, "How's come essences aren't dropping? Are they even showing up? Is it broken?" But no, it looks like they're showing up.
Marquesa, the Slave Lord, stands before you. Some kind of object is encased in a magical field behind her. Marquesa is dead, and her followers routed.
Alright.
Now to search for clues that might lead to the Slave Lord's primary stronghold. Marked on the map is a cave that leads to the Slaver's City. Surely this must be the Slave Lord's main base.
Sweet. Perfect timing. Alright. Oh, I've been Mr. Talkative today. Hope I didn't drive you guys nuts. I'm looking forward to the weekend. You know, it's been a lot of fun. Running these quests this week. At night. Doing stuff. I did mention this kind of in passing, but we are actively working on a producer's letter. It's 80-ish% done. We basically have a final draft that's been passed around, and so it's just a matter of kind of doing a little bit of wordsmithing on it. Make sure we actually are saying everything we want to say and that we're not accidentally setting ourselves up for something we can't do. But the producer's letter should be out within the next week. I'm hoping by the end of next week it's published. And that's going to look at basically our plans, I think, generally through about February. Although there's a couple of pieces that may not be in there because we're not 100% sure we're going to be able to do them. But if they work, then we have a few other big things that are going to be coming down the road. Greller says, someone told me yesterday that as more people loot named items, it drops less frequently, and that this mechanic was confirmed by a DDO dev to encourage people to buy new content as it comes out. Is that true? No. Not true. Absolutely not true. Typically, named loot drops with a certain percentage, either as an end reward or in a named item chest or whatever. So, just throwing a number out there, you know, you have a 5% chance to get the Sword of 1,000 Truths on normal, 10% on hard, 15% on elite. You know, something like that. And that doesn't change. However, if you ransack the quest over and over, ransack the chest, then that does drop both the quality of the regular loot you get in addition to the percentage chance to get the named loot. So, after a certain number, just named loot won't show up. It's basically what it is. It's fairly binary. So that's the actual thing. My collectibles, I do Tangleroot. Yeah, I think we're living in a new world here. There's going to be a bunch of us that I think in the future, now that it's more of a thing, that far more desirable, I bet I'm going to find those great things to farm and great quests to get your min-max out, your return rate, etc. And that's something I'm looking forward to seeing what we end up with, say, a couple months from now. But yeah, Tangleroot's probably a good choice. Always has been. All right, well, thanks again for joining me, you guys. I really appreciate it. I will let you get going. And thank you for watching Friday afternoon here on twitch.tv/DDOstream. You can find our full schedule on the Twitch channel. We do have shows throughout the weekend and week, so please go take a look at the schedule. If you see something you like, give us a follow. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube to individual playlists or all of them if you want to get them in your subscription feed. Hope you're enjoying the bonuses this weekend. We got some good ones. Crystal Cove is back through Monday, through the 19th, being shut off basically early in the morning next Tuesday, the 20th. And that's for Talk Like a Pirate Day, which is Monday, September 19th. So, yar welcome. And, we also have a double Mysterious Remnants boost that doubles the chance for Mysterious Remnants to appear when you kill a champion. That's through Sunday. And then finally, the biggie. We've got a 10% buddy boost going on through Sunday as well, not in raids. So no, we are not calling this the Von 5 weekend. It is, the Von 3 weekend. No, I'm kidding. 10% for every member of the party other than yourself. Not including raids, so you can get up to 50% XP bonus for having a full group. Yep. Oh man. Alright, I will talk to you guys later. Have fun, have a great weekend. Thanks for playing DDO. We'll see you again soon.